welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to day 5 of the first NOvEL. Today I'm going to be adding a little bit of spice to my life as well as a little bit of spice to your story. I am going to be making eggnog, which I have never actually had proper eggnog before. It's not really a big thing down in Australia. So I am making eggnog. I've got the rum and everything, so it's going to be a good time. Whoop, whoop. In terms of your NOvEL, I am going to be talking about subplots. Those things that add a bit more interest to your story, a little bit more spice, a little bit more fun. But I reckon we should get some eggnog cooking and have a chat about subplots along the way. First step is to combine sugar, milk, and eggs. Cook it on the stove over low heat. So I'm going to get started on it. 2. Now I need to just whisk the eggs, sugar and milk together and then just cook it for 6 to 8 minutes apparently until it coats the back of a wooden spoon. I've always memorized this recipe. I'm doing quite well if I do say so myself. So while that's cooking, I'm going to talk a little bit about subplots, which are really important to your story. So you've got your main plot that goes across the book. Hopefully you've got some structure in there like we talked about on day 1. But if you only had that, the book would be quite boring. What helps that are your subplots. Now I don't think that you want 10 subplots, you don't want 20 subplots because then it would get really confusing. Along with the main storyline, you probably want 2 or 3 approximately other storylines that go with it. These are definitely lesser. These are lesser than your main plot. You don't want them to detract from the main purpose of the book, but they need to be there to show development in other ways. Subplots are often things like romantic stories. That's a very common one. You don't, unless you're writing a romance book where the romance is the main point of the novel, romance is likely to be kind of a side to your main storyline. That's a really good place to put in all those feels, as well as adding to the action, the emotions, all of those sorts of things. It can just completely heighten the story from being this to being this, which is far more interesting for your reader. We've already had a bit of a chat about characters, but a subplot is where some of the secondary characters in your book could really shine. Obviously, your main plot arc is going to follow or have the main character. Usually, there's only one very main character and the rest is secondary. But in subplots, one of your secondary characters could be the main character, which can help really show that character development through the book so that it all comes together really nicely at the end. Now I need to stir in my spiced rum. If you are under 18 in Australia, no. If you're under 21 in America, no. If you're 16 in Germany, you go for it. Look, it's got alcohol. Oh yeah. Oh, yum. Cream. So the mixture is just here cooling down a little bit. Now I just need to whip some cream to go into the glasses. That'll get poured on top, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I realized that eggnog was quite so easy. But I've got one more thing I want to talk about, and that's a little bit of how I am incorporating subplots into my book. So I've got the main POV, which is my main character. Obviously that's the main plot, but I've also got another POV, which is a bit of a mystery POV. It works itself out in the second half of the book. You'll find out who it is, but that adds to the intrigue. This POV is doing things that are not part of the main plot and adds a little bit of what is that person up to kind of thing. I've also got a romantic subplot. I am writing YA after all. Can we have YA without romance? You probably can, but I like romance, so I've put in a romantic subplot as well. Some of my secondary characters do also have little romantic things, and there are obviously some friendships developing that will affect things that happen later in the book as well. So that's how I'm putting in a few subplots. I only mentioned 2 or 3 there, so I definitely don't have 10 or 20 subplots going on. I think that would just get really confusing for me and really confusing for the reader. Let's whip some cream. From here, I'm just going to put some of my whipped cream into these glasses, top it, and then we've also got, in my handy dandy cupboard, I'm going to top it with a little bit of ground nutmeg to add that spice, just like your subplots will. Oh, very Christmassy. There we have it, some homemade eggnog. I hope you enjoyed making this eggnog with me and having a little bit of a chat about subplots. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 6 of the first NOvEL. Don't forget that the giveaway is still going. You can still enter. The link is in the description below. I want to give away books to you, so get on it. I am also on Instagram, Twitter, and reviewing on Goodreads, but for now, I am gonna go and try this eggnog. And don't forget to laugh at yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye! It tastes like custard. Really good. That's dangerous. That's really dangerous. Quite yummy. Do you want some?